So glad to have everybody with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our second in the series. It's kind of not an official second one, right?
Yeah.
But
This week, Peggy is actually hosting a grief coaching session, and so she's not able to join us today, but she'll be back with us next week. And so this week, we're just going to do a little bit of a recap about what we discussed last week, and we would love to get your feedback on some of the things you liked, anything you didn't, any suggestions you may have. We'd love to hear anything that you'd like to share. We're definitely open for that. And
for sure.
yeah, last week's episode, we talked a little bit about why it can feel harder to lose a dog than it can some people in your life, and just that kind of really emotional topic. And so we talked about like how pets are so interwoven into your everyday life. They're part of your routine, and sometimes it's so much a part of your everyday that you kind of take for granted how much they really do impact all of these
Yeah.
little moments in your life that get impacted by your dog. And so you can end up having a closer bond with your dog, with your pets, than you do with some, family members or other people in your life. And
Right. I'm just curious, Hillary, was that a feeling or an emotion that you ever had when going through dog, like that it was harder, um, to lose your dog than a person?
so I don't know if it was exactly if I can exactly quantify it that way, but I definitely had that this is just a dog type of reaction from some people. So that sort of like feeling like, oh, you don't get it. Like my dog is
Right.
a part of my family. So I definitely got
Right.
that a little bit more than maybe exactly being able to quantify it. But
Yeah. I mean, so it sounds like you might not have had that feeling, but that other people made you maybe stop and think about, like, why would I feel
yes,
why would I feel um my I had a similar situations, but I almost hurt so bad, like I didn't care what any like I was like, I don't care what anybody else thinks about how bad I feel. Like I'm gonna feel this because that's how much I care,
yeah,
or that's how much this loss really means to me. um I didn't feel, I don't want to say I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't feel, like anybody was gonna persuade me to think otherwise, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I was just like, hurting so bad. I was like, like, flip people the finger for anybody like trying to convince me otherwise. With like, I'm hurting. My dog is like more important than you, so like
yep,
I don't care what kind of thing. Um, but I definitely know, and it was kind of interesting to hear from Peggy that she hears that quite a bit, right? That
yeah.
there's that um, there's that guilt and things like that, um, and that people can feel like, um, that they shouldn't feel that way, right? Or
Or
it's
that
just
it
a
should
dog.
be, they thought it would be easier. I think that kind of shock of like, this is harder than it was for me to lose my grandma or or an uncle or something like that. That sort of surprise of, oh, I didn't know. I thought it would take less time. I thought it, those sorts of things, and
Right.
it can really kind of completely take the wind out of your sails. And if you didn't, we've been through it, so it's a little bit harder to
Yeah.
think back on that first time of going through it, but that can really be a shock, I think.
I I totally agree with that for sure. I mean, yeah, I absolutely agree that that part was surprising, that it hurt so bad,
Yeah.
right? Um that it's um it wasn't that I had a hard time worrying about what other people thought, but it was just recognizing the fact that this is, you know, probably the worst, feeling, right?
Yeah.
That and and we don't have we don't have kids, so our dogs are our kids, and So they are everything to us, you know, not that if we had children they wouldn't be, but you know, it's just like they are totally family. And yeah, and it just, it hurts so bad. The other thing is that I think that people are supposed to get over this quickly, you know, that this is something that not only does it hurt so bad, or you know, but um that you know, and maybe it's almost like you want to get
Yeah.
over it quickly. I know kind of part of how I was feeling, is just wanting it, you know, it just, it's not a fun feeling to have. It's not something that, you know, you want to have consume you, but it, you know, at moments it certainly
Yeah.
does, you know, it really does.
And for me, it
Um,
was like keeping falling back into it, like that really intense emotional place where you can be. I expected that, but then I expected once I kind of, okay, you sort of start to climb out a little bit. So you think, oh, okay, it's starting
yeah,
to get a little bit of a relief here. And then just to
right.
completely, moment by moment, you can fall back
Hmm.
into right back where you were
Yeah,
in that intense situation again. So,
yeah, for sure, for sure. You know, I know there's a spot on the couch that our first dog Daisy used to sleep on, and you know, I'd walk down the hall and I'd catch that corner of the couch in my eyes as I'm walking through the house, and I thought I'd see her there. You know, just there was a blanket or something in that spot, and and then not seeing her there was like, oh yeah, that's right,
yeah.
she's not with us anymore. And then you go through that. Or with Clover, you know, she would curl up next to me in bed at night, and that's something I'm still like having to, I think that's one of the hardest things for me right now is not having her there at night, because I'm,
Hmm.
you know, expecting. So I feel better at times, but then those moments that just kind of bring it all right back
Yeah.
and stuff. I think the other thing that we talked about last week was that this was a grief that um, you know, that you're supposed to separate it from any other loss that you have. Um, and honestly, I think with our emotions as humans, and the connectedness of relationships that we have with people and pets in our lives and stuff, they're so complex that we have to recognize the fact that sometimes one loss will bring up, you know, a past loss, you know, that we've had. Um, and, you know, then the feelings just start getting interwoven and intermixed and stuff, and having to deal with all of that. So
And
not
sometimes
only is
it's
it,
the support that you like, that
yeah,
your dog was providing a little bit of a bridge for some of those things that were supporting other things,
right,
that once that sort of piece of the foundation is removed, you'll start to notice where other things are a little shakier than you might have been able to kind of paper over some of it and think, okay, things are going fine. And then once that one piece is removed, you realize how much of an impact they really do have on your entire life and how
right,
interconnected all of that is.
right, for sure. And I mean, and there's such emotional support systems in our life, and you just don't even realize how much um, you rely on them, or what a true, you know, comfort they are to you until that, you know, until they're gone,
Yeah.
until that day gone. So we also talked about, so anybody feeling any of those things, like you need to get over it quickly, that this is different than anything else that you should be feeling, or it shouldn't be mixed in with other losses, or that you shouldn't be feeling that way. Just breathe all that in and blow it out, like just let it go. And I think some of the internal ways to do that we talked about, was just allowing yourself to grieve, right? Just allow yourself to be vulnerable in moments, allow yourself to kind of go through some of that hurt to get to the other side, of those feelings. I think sometimes we try to put on, and I don't want to be I think women tend to like, and men too, I guess, actually, now that I say that, probably even more so men, but, we try to hold things up. I'm really good at bottling up everything inside and putting on a brave face. And I'm sure, for our spouses, for children that we might have, for our bosses or coworkers or other extended friends and family, they don't want to see you sad all the time. And you want to try to be able to live kind of normally again, so you just kind of put on this brave face. And I think that that's fine in small doses, but you also have to give yourself moments where it's okay to just let it go.
Yeah, it's kind of like checking in with yourself, because we know we have to kind of, okay, I'm gonna make it through XYZ. I'm gonna make it through this meeting. I'm gonna make it through this day, whatever the case may be. But then checking in with yourself that you're not just making it through and you've stopped trying to pay attention to any of those other emotions, because eventually they will catch up with you. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it's easier if you take them, those little painful moments at a time, than it will be when they will inevitably catch up with you.
Yeah. The floodgates will open and everything you've tried to avoid will come smacking across your face. And yeah, it's a lot more difficult. And especially if a lot of time has passed and you've really kept that in for a long, long time. We've heard from some folks that have watched this that, this is a grief they've been carrying around with them for years and really haven't allowed themselves to truly process all of it. Now, we're not saying that this is something that you will get over.
Yeah.
This is something that has affected the rest of your life, and honestly it should, because it's that meaningful, it's that important, it's it's one of the scars of life that we kind of carry through the rest of our days, but it is something that we can get through. And so we might not be able to get over it, but we can get through it, and we have to allow ourselves that opportunity to do that. And then, so that's kind of some of the internal things, not comparing it to anything else that you've gone through, that this is, whatever you're feeling now is okay. And then allowing yourself to kind of have those feelings and process those feelings is okay. And then externally, so that's kind of the internal things that we talked about, helping to get through all of this. Externally, we talked about things like journaling or writing a letter to your dog and things like that, which I haven't done that before. Is that something that you've done,
No,
Hillary?
that definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
I can see the benefit of it, but it wasn't something that I did when I lost Tatum.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it
it's a,
hasn't. I was more in like collecting
yep,
photographs and kind of allowing me to kind of remember those happy moments and things like that. I think that was really helpful to me, but I can definitely see how writing things down and having conversations with your dog. We had somebody today, or I'm sorry, it might have been yesterday, just chat about how they were looking forward to journaling, because not only was it going to help them through the process, but it was going to, in a sense, kind of create this memory book that they could go back in time, over time, and kind of reread and relive some of those good memories. And I thought that was a great idea to kind of
yeah.
think of it that way.
I also love
And
it. It kind of ties in a little bit like with what you did with Daisy too. That I sort of see that as sort of scrapbooking, or that sort of memorializing, but also reliving all those happy memories and kind of surrounding yourself with that. It's a
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so important to focus on the good times and not so much on the bad. Obviously, recognizing the things that are difficult, but not dwelling on them. which, you know, when you're sad and you're angry and frustrated and all those other feelings that you have when you're going through this loss, it's easy to kind of hold on to and not let go, and that can be a you know, not a very healthy thing to do either. So,
Yeah.
you know, one extreme ignoring it, and the other extreme is just ignoring everything else but that. And so kind of
Finding some
ways,
healthy outlets to kind
yeah,
of help you work through it is really helpful.
right, right, right. And if you feel like you can't do things on your own, that's okay too. And in fact, reaching out for support with other people, we kind of talked a little bit about that as well. You just got to be a little careful, right?
Yeah.
Just find people that you trust, open up a little bit at a time, because even close friends that you may think get you, right, and know what you're going through, they might, you know, they might not have pets, or they might not understand the depth of the love and loss that you have. So just opening up bit by bit, um, and I think that's important, right?
Yeah, and just remembering that you're really vulnerable during this
Mm-hmm.
time too. So it might be an off-handed comment that under normal circumstances wouldn't upset you. And it can be somebody that you're really close with that you thought, well, I'll open up to them. They know me, whatever the case may be. But your level of vulnerability can make you extra sensitive to things that they may say, and they may not totally understand. Nobody can really totally understand what you're going through. So it can be easy to kind of feel off put by some of the people that are closest to you. So just not that you shouldn't open up to other people, but doing it in kind of those small doses, feeling them out and deciding, okay, do I continue working through it with this person, or is it maybe better to, you know, kind of they understand what I'm going through, but moving to somebody else that, you know, is a little bit more supportive for this particular instance in your life.
Right, right. So, you know, in talking about all the ways that um, you can internally and even externally kind of work through this process, I'd just like to stop for a second and ask anybody if they have found ways to help them through the healing process. So I think it's hugely important to get insights and experiences and stories from anyone else. Really, this should be a community of, you know, helping each other heal. So, you know, if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, please feel free to write down, you know, if you've started journaling and or writing a letter, if and how that's helped you, or if you've done other things that has kind of helped you towards that process of healing. We'd absolutely love to know, and again, I think it's important for all of us to be able to share that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, with that in mind, we're also working on putting some of the final touches on a book that Peggy has written. It's called
Oh,
How to Heal from
yeah.
the Loss of Your Dog. This will be available in the next few weeks, and it'll be available to the We Heart Hounds audience for free. We've been working with Peggy for a few months now, talking about this series and what we think would be helpful, what we'd like to provide. And this is another one of those offerings that we think is really going to be of value, or we're certainly hoping that it'll be a value for you as you go forward.
For sure.
And I'd also love to know, along with that, how how you're feeling about the series in general, and also having Peggy here with us, has that been a value to you? If there's any things that you'd like to ask or any sort of feedback on that vein, we would love to know. It would be very helpful for us going forward.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the main reasons why we wanted to reach out to everybody today. We did not want to skip today, even though Peggy's at a grief conference this week. We didn't want to miss the opportunity to getting your feedback and you know, keeping the conversation going, because as you know, this is something that really touches both of us very deeply. Um, sorry. Sorry, I'm not having the best day thinking about Clover. This is something that once Clover died, that I did not expect this to take place. Sorry. That that we really felt like this is a topic that we all go through, and that we really wanted to be able to do something that was really meaningful, and hopefully adding value and finding moments of comfort, because we know that we're not the only ones going through all of this. So sorry about that. I'm sure it's a telemarketer calling. At the perfect opportune moment, right? Which is probably good for me, just to knock me back into reality here. So again, just this is obviously a topic that touches our heart, and we put a lot of effort and thought, and wanted to ensure that after finding Peggy as a resource, we knew immediately that we had to provide this to more than just us. The book that she's been working on, especially for the We Heart Hounds family. We're super excited about getting that out to everybody, but also putting together this series. I mean, we really wanted to have opportunities to open up the discussion, and for continued support beyond just a post or the book or anything. There's just so much more that I think we can gain from these live experiences, and it just really means a whole lot for us to be able to do that and give back to our We Heart Hounds family in that way.
Yeah, and we obviously really did feel that it was important to have Peggy's expertise with us on these series, and just through the book and also in the series. And that expertise obviously isn't free, so we have put our own time and money into making her available each week. So we just because that I really think that professional advice is really valuable.
For sure. And that's that's not to say, like, we're not trying to pat ourselves on the back by any means. This is really genuinely from the bottom of our hearts something that we want to offer to as many people as possible. So we truly encourage your participation and engagement in these conversations, and in the replays as well. If you have friends or family or anyone that would be interested in this, it's a limited series. We're only doing this for a short period of time, unless we realize that this is something that resonates with you, and then we will be more than happy to continue to invest both time and money into providing this as well. So again, please feel free to continue participating in the conversation. And I see, hi Jennifer, thanks for being with us today. It's so great to have you here. I know you're going through a tough time as well with your recent loss, so thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and for anybody that would like to catch the replays or go back and kind of go through some of these conversations, if there were things that caught your attention and you just wanted to hear it again. I know for me, sometimes that's really important, especially with emotional topics. Sometimes kind of working through it and hearing it again is really helpful. So if you want to, you can see these videos on our We Heart Hounds Facebook page, obviously, where this is live right now. They're also, you can find them in the videos tab, and they're all right there. But we also have a YouTube channel, which is YouTube/We Heart Hounds, and there's a playlist, and all of the videos from this series will be going on there as well. So we read comments everywhere you feel comfortable commenting. So, and we read every single one. It really does mean the world to us when you participate. So wherever you feel comfortable, however much you feel comfortable, we are more than happy to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. She said she's shared this with her dog loss support group, and that means so much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Really, truly. If we can help one other person,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's just um, that would mean everything to us. It truly would. It truly would. Um, so we've got a number of topics. Should we talk about our upcoming?
Yeah,
our
sure.
got it's a 5-part series. We're kind of skipping today. This is
Today
the
doesn't quite count. This is a recap.
yeah. So we have 4 more sessions after today that we've scheduled out. You want to chat about what those are?
Yeah, so the next one is kind of a biggie. It's dealing with guilt that you may have around the loss. So that is definitely a big conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
um, if there's anybody out there that has some initial thoughts or some comments that you'd like to share about that particular topic for next week, please feel free to share that. And then also in some of the ones to follow, we'll be covering all of those other feelings aside from guilt. So whether it be anger, that is definitely me. I feel more comfortable in kind of being angry about the situation, so I can kind of go back in and that's my sort of safe space. And having to work through that and realize, okay, we need to start working on some of the other things like sadness or loneliness. Those ones are tougher for me, but so one of our conversations will be around all of those other feelings that you have aside from guilt. And then working on talking about when the help that people provide you isn't all that helpful, and it can be the best of
Yeah.
intentions. And we obviously have a ton of people in our lives that, you know that we've gone through this, and sometimes what they offer, like I say, even with the best of intentions, is not all that
Mm-hmm.
helpful, and kind of working through a conversation around that particular topic. And
Right.
then
Right.
another one is talking about when couples grieve differently. So that's
Oh, right.
very common, and it can bring up all sorts of other emotions and other things that happen in your relationships as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a big topic as well. So
Yeah. That was definitely something that we had already planned on talking about, as Hillary said. But we've already heard from some of our listeners that that how couples grieve differently was an important topic. So it's great to get that validation that we're picking the right topics to talk about. Again, I don't want to harp on this, but please share your ideas and thoughts on any other topics that you might want us to chat about. We want to be inclusive to what you'd like us to bring up, especially when we have Peggy on. She's such a valuable resource, and we have such a limited time with her in this 5-part series. So we want to make sure. So if you're watching the replay or if you're watching now, please feel free to, just open up and share whatever ideas you might have. And I'm gonna probably need to bring a box Kleenex with us on these ones for sure. Especially the next one. Next few are going to be pretty tough to get through. But
yeah,
anyway, we're looking forward to them for sure.
definitely. And your suggestions, your topics, it just helps us know that we're kind of navigating this series that we're trying to provide for you in the right
Mm-hmm.
direction. We want it to be helpful, and the best way to ensure that is hear from you what you want to talk about, and we will adjust and
Right.
make sure that we hit those topics appropriately.
Yeah, for sure.
And
For sure.
in the replay of this video, we'll have a couple links. One's for our YouTube channel that I mentioned earlier. And then also another great way to kind of keep in touch, or if you want to communicate with us, is a link where we'll provide a link to joining our email list. And we really do encourage anybody that would like to sign up there. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up because I think email, we all get, you know, tons of emails coming into our inbox. I know that can get to be annoying or frustrating or whatever, but honestly, it is absolutely the best way to stay in touch. You know, we just don't know what could ever happen to Facebook. You know, Mark Zuckerberg might take his flip flops and a beer and head for the beach and close down Facebook for good one day. Probably not. Um, we love Facebook. It's really brought us all closer to you and helped us kind of build a community of you know dog loving folks, and you know, we wouldn't be here without it. But truly, the algorithms change in Facebook all the time. What you see in your news feed shows, you know, that things that show up change all the time, you know, depending on whatever Facebook decides for the day. So really, we do encourage you to click on the link that's going to be in this replay. Hillary will add it there, or myself, and that way, if you're on our email list, you'll get to know about what the, you know, what's coming, and we'll be able to get to stay in touch, which I think is really, really important.
Yeah. And if there's any changes or things like that, we can let you know. It's just a great way to really keep in touch and keep informed about what we have going on.
For sure, for sure.
So I don't know if there's any other comments or questions that are out there right now.
We're kind of wrapping up, but if anybody has anything they want to chat about or any other information to provide, I know it takes a little bit of a time. There's a little bit of a time delay, but we're happy to hear from anybody. If there's anything else we say before we say goodbye today, give it another minute or so. I think we're pretty much it then, right?
So thank you everybody so much for hanging out today. Next week, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, will be the next in our series. That one, again, we'll be talking about feelings of guilt that you can have surrounding this loss. I think it'll be a powerful one. I definitely think it's an important one. That's definitely a big emotion, and there's no getting around it. So I think it'll be helpful. If you find these helpful, please share them with family or friends or anybody that you think would benefit from this. We really do appreciate it. The reason why we're here is really just to try to help support people through this. We've gone through it as much as you can. We know that feeling. It's a safe place. We really want to provide this and try to be supportive to as many people as we possibly can.
Right, for sure. And Jennifer, I see that you've just you're talking about, you'd like us to talk about next time. What we'll do is we'll bring up the fact that just kind of struggling with that new routine, you know, without your dog, and we totally get it, right? I think that and the silence,
the quiet,
like definitely,
yep,
like that those are the first things that hit you like a ton of bricks when this happens. So obviously we've all been there. It's unfortunately, I think it's just going to take a little bit of time, and then maybe using some of these techniques to kind of work through the healing process and things like that. So I think meeting every week, thank you, that's so sweet. Meeting every week and encouraging others to, oh gosh, I know. She says she still hears her sometimes.
Yeah.
I know I get those crazy moments where you hear like the toes tapping on the ground, or, you know, on the floor, or the collar jingling, or like I said, you know, a little while ago, like just catching them out of the corner of your eyes, you're walking by, or things like that. I mean, we still have Clover's food bowls out. Like all her toys are still out. It's been, you know, a little over 2 months. It's still hard to, you know, not, okay, I'm going to lose it again. It's still hard to not, you know, walk by those and not think of her. So Jennifer, I hope I'm not making you bawl like a little baby today, because I sure feel like I could. We're supposed to be helping each other. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. We read every single comment, whether it's live or during the replay. We do our best to, during lives, we try to catch them all, but we definitely go back and read them, and certainly on the replays as well. So please know that we care, that we're here for you. We're sending virtual healing hugs your way. And we look forward to seeing everybody next Thursday, 2:00, to talk on the next series. And if you're available tomorrow, you'll see us live here for our Thank Dog It's Friday, 2:00 here as well. So we'll have a little fun. We got to have some lighthearted moments through all this as well.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Have yourself a great day. Thanks so much, Hillary, for
Thank
meeting.
you.
This is, yeah, I enjoyed it. All right. Hey, Al, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.